come into the council meeting of City Council of the City of Avon Lake. It is June the 23rd. Mr. Zuber, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ms. Rossmarin, please read the roll call.
Mr. Arnold.
Here.
Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Here.
Ms. Gentry.
Here.
Mr. Koss.
Here.
Mr. Shamir.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Zuber.
Here.
Mayor Spetzel.
Here.
Law Director Ebert.
Here.
Finance Director Crossie. Public Works Director Liskovic.
Here.
Ms. Crossie is on vacation at this point. She'll be back next week. Do we have any comments about the minutes from April the 28th? Council, if you had a chance to review them. Okay, then they will stand as published. Any correspondence that you want to share, Council? Yes, Mr. Cos?
Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Fenderbosh, Madam President. I received a letter, I think all members of City Council did, from one of our local businesses, specifically a Ward 4 local business, Klingshirn Winery. And Klingshirn Winery is celebrating a very important anniversary. They are celebrating their 90th anniversary here in Avon Lake. 3 generations worth of Klingshirns have helped make that name synonymous with the area and the region and their wine. So I wanted to say congratulations to Lee Klingshirn and the entire Klingshirn family and all those that have come before them and have worked with them on 90 great years, and I hope for another 90 great years of Klingshirn Winery. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing. Anybody else? Mr. Zuber, yes, please.
Just in regard to that, I talked to Lee, and maybe when some of his family comes in from the West Coast, we could have some type of presentation for them here at City Council for their 90th. So I briefly discussed it with him in what we all received. I received a note from him to that effect too. So hopefully we can work on that.
Mr. Zuber, we'll look at the calendar after the council meeting. We'll get it on the calendar. Thank you.
Yeah,
Good point.
I would like to see, he has family from California when they come in, hopefully we could do it at that point in time. I know his other brother is local along with his sister, so.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Cos?
just to follow up on that, Mr. Zuber, would you have a way of finding out when that would be, just so?
Yeah, and I will talk to him more about that so we can hopefully put it together.
No, that's a great idea. I
Right.
just want to make sure that we are aware when it will be. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Mr. Shamir?
Yes, I've had quite a few phone calls with respect to the condition of the roads within the West Winds. I know that there are cones set up and people are weaving through the cones, but is there a schedule that I can tell the residents when we will get some repairs so that people are not weaving through the cities or the subdivision streets?
Mr. Liskovic?
Yes, so, crews have been in that area for probably at least the past 2 weeks, if I recall, if not a little bit longer. And they're working through, street by street to get repairs, like working on Bayview currently right now. And so as far as a specific schedule, it depends on what staff I have available every day, which sometimes varies, but we are trying to focus an effort to keep foraging through there. I know some cones have been put out just because the conditions are extremely severe. So we're trying to put, just raise awareness with that, but we're continuing to push forward and keep moving through that area.
If I may.
Mr. Shamir, continue.
Thank you for putting out the cones, and I know that there were some of the minor cracks that were sealed, but along the section, which is now the rerouting for Brunswick construction work, there are some massive potholes where those cones are. And I think if you look to the sides of those cones, there are still considerable amounts of rutted road, which if it could be maintained or repaired, especially during this phase of construction, because people are now using that road, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. And if it's not patched or repaired, all those sides will start breaking up and those holes will get much bigger before it's done.
No, we'll take a look at it
Thank you.
tomorrow.
Thank you. We're back to the topic of correspondence. I know that a number of us received correspondence from the Hanford residents about the displeasure in how they perceive that the topic is being handled by City Council and the administration. Mr. Shamir, your hand's back up.
Yeah. Well, there has been a number of communication. Before I get to Hanford, with respect to cell service and GSM towers within the east side of town. Now, we have tried to reach out to companies to get a better understanding, but I think this needs to be a city initiative whereas the city, we need to address it. And I know that Mr. Mayor has responded to an earlier email that came out today, but the issue is, I think, something that needs to be brought about and dealt with, because a lot of folks within Ward 1 are sitting in dead zones when it comes to telecommunication service. And some of those folks only have GSM or cell and not a landline. Thank you.
Mr. Shamir, is this happening more recently or has it been ongoing?
This has been ongoing for at least 9 months that I've been going back and forth. I've reached out to T-Mobile, I've reached out to AT&T, I've reached out to Spectrum. So it is something that I've also discussed with Mr. Zuber and tried to get his wisdom on the issue. And the issue seems to be quite unsupported when it comes to most cell providers.
The reason I'm asking is that the Division Road Tower, sometimes, and I don't, for lack of a better term, those mirrors sometimes get moved with the wind storms that come through. And I know in the past years, they've had to recalibrate them because it affects where I live too. And around, it's different every day, but it's around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it shoots us down to Avon right before I-90 to that tower. And during that point in time, I too am in a dead zone. I understand. Anybody else? Correspondence?
I do.
Yes.
I've received an email from Keith Filipowski of Pulte Homes, our groups, requesting council suspend the rule for 3 readings on an emergency basis for ordinance number 25-127, which is the final plat for Sandridge Run, and ordinance number 25-128, the final plat for Portside Townhouse subdivision. I also received an email from Gerald Phillips, who stated his objection to the elimination of 3 minutes on agenda items that is being proposed in the amendments of codified ordinance chapter 220, which is ordinance number 25-116. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody else? Correspondence? We're going to move on now to reports. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you. I have an update on the do not knock. I know we've had residents come in and advise us of some issues with that. We have corrected that problem. There were issues with the formation of the data that was brought in, and it's now alphabetical. Everybody should be able to find themselves on there if they have registered. If not, contact our Communication and Technology Department, and they will help rectify that. I also want to note that the Alps contractor will be staging the week of July 7th, and I'm not sure if I stole any of Mr. Liskovic's thunder here, but they'll be starting to stage for work on the Alps. We had a successful Summerfest this past Saturday. Aaron Fatch gave it a thumbs up. It was a great success. They're looking forward to the next one. This was an inaugural Summerfest. It went very well. Weather was a little warm, but otherwise very successful. And I want to announce that we're having our fireworks celebration, of course, on July 3rd at Weiss Field. From 5 to 9, we'll have food trucks. There'll be 6 food trucks and 5 dessert trucks. They always have long lines, and most of them sell out. We will have live music from 6 to 10 by Country Redford, and we will have fireworks approximately 10 o'clock. So hopefully everybody can come out and enjoy that. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Mayor? Okay, then we'll move along then to the Law Director.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. The two things I had sent out, I announced last week, I should get it out as soon as possible, which I did, the short-term rentals, you should have a draft. Also, moratorium, I would recommend that council do what you're going to do with the moratorium as far as pass it on suspension or first or second reading. The short-term rentals, I believe you should, take a look at. There's a lot of issues in there that you may need some modification as far as the number in the city. Some cities require you had it registered and you're on a wait list as far as how many they are, where they're located, et cetera. That you could sit there and put on reading and then go on recess and come back after recess and make any final modifications. As long as the moratorium's in place, you'd be safe in that situation. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to ask my fellow council people, do you want to have this open discussion at the CCM as to fill in the blanks that the law director left as blanks in the proposed ordinance for short-term rentals, or do you want to have a committee meeting? What's the general consensus? Mr. Shamir?
Committee meeting.
Committee meeting? Anybody else? Ms. Gentry?
I don't mind either way.
Mr. Cos?
Are we referring to the ad hoc committee? That's chaired by Mr. Arnold. That's what I
Right,
would
right.
prefer that
I'm
be
working
done.
my way down.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
A committee meeting or the ad hoc
Right,
committee meeting.
correct.
Yeah, I would support the ad hoc.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Arnold?
Yeah, that's fine. We can go back to the ad hoc committee.
Our timing, we have 2 more meetings for council here. Okay, and Mr. Smith? You're
I actually would rather see it go to CCM.
directed to the CCM?
Keep it moving as fast as possible. Because I don't know, I don't like seeing the moratorium on here without seeing the other on here, so.
Thank you.
That's my preference.
Thank you, Mr. Zuber?
Yeah, I have that same concern about the moratorium being here without a companion piece with it. I sent out an email when I saw them both that we could go ahead and do that. We're gonna go 3 readings on the other piece. But the sooner the better, as far as I'm concerned, whether it's a committee meeting next week or the following week if it's a CCM. So I know that I'm having a meeting on the 1st next week, but I share the same concerns that Mr. Smith does in regards to the moratorium without a companion piece that's moving. Thank you.
Mr. Arnold, the 7th is the CCM. Are you able to hold an ad hoc prior to that, the next 2 weeks with your schedule, being out of town, whatever? You can come up
I'm
with a date?
just looking, I mean, I
and give
think
it
we
to Ms.
could,
Rossmarin.
it's a matter of if we can have everybody be at the meeting. I could make it happen. It's just a matter of the other committee members can attend, or at least one.
If you could work with Ms. Rossmarin and come up with a meeting so we can get this on the schedule for the 7th, the CCM, we thank you. Okay, and I skipped over the council president's report. So the next CCM, as we're talking about it, is July the 7th. It's the last one before we go out on break. And the next council meeting, which is the very last council meeting before we go out on break, is the 14th of July. There's another item here that I brought up from the council president. I'm able to appoint ad hoc committees, special committees, per 220.06. And we have one that is called the Boards and Commissions Structure Review Ad Hoc Committee. And basically, they have the goal, there's 2 goals. The first goal would be to look at these boards and commissions and see if they're balanced between appointees from council and appointees from the mayor. Also, see if the end date of their term would be ending so that you would have some institutional knowledge there with your committee, that they're not all ending on the very same date. And later on tonight, we're going to be voting on the 3 members that would be on that particular committee. Any questions from council? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go on to the finance director. She's not here. Are there any questions that one might have that perhaps the mayor could address? Seeing none, we'll go on to the public works director, Mr. Leskovic.
Yes, good evening. Just a couple updates this evening. First and foremost, the intersection of Newberry at Brunswick, starting tomorrow, will be closed for approximately 7 days as Dennis Concrete removes the pavement and prepares it for new concrete through there. They have issued notices to all the residents that will be impacted by that closure as to the timing and then the preferred route in and out through the area, which would be back through Electric.
Any questions for Mr. Skovic on this topic? Okay, go ahead.
Next item up is the Walker Midship Moreland RRFB. Today, there was a pre-construction meeting for that project where we met with Paramelectric, the contractor for it. They had conveyed to us 12 to 18 weeks lead time for equipment. And their schedule, although they're working on refining it, their anticipation would be coming in fall to start doing some of the prep work for the equipment that's going to be installed there. That's all I have for this evening.
Any questions for Mr. Skovic? Okay, we're going to move on now to standing committees. First one's Building and Utilities. Ms. Gentry?
Yes, we have two items on the agenda for the second readings. The first is the demolition ordinance, and the second is ordinances that are supporting of the demolition ordinance. Our next Building and Utilities meeting will be September 17th.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Gentry? Seeing none, we're going to move along now to Mr. Shamir with Communications, Environmental and Recreation Programming.
Yes, first of all, we had a resignation from the EAB. The chairperson, Mr. McCormick, has decided to step down because of his workload and his new role, and we will have an open seat within EAB, which is going to be advertised, and we also have the two previous candidates as well. So that is from EAB. The next EAB meeting will be July 10th at 6:30 p.m. We also are going to have a Parks and Rec Commission meeting on June 25th at 5:30 at the City Hall.
Any questions for Mr. Shamir?
questions?
I
Yes,
just
go
wanted to
ahead.
mention that the Parks and Rec Commission meeting has been canceled. There was a notice that went out this afternoon.
In that case, Parks and Rec has been canceled. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Arnold with Economic Development.
Thank you. We had an Economic Development Committee meeting a few weeks ago. There was one topic. There was a presentation done by Kleinfelder for the Recovery and Resiliency Plan. There were several recommendations that they recommended to the city. It was a very large report, and it's going to take some time going through that report. I don't know if Mr. Shamir or Mr. Zuber have anything to expand on that, since you guys were on the committee.
Mr. Shamir.
Well, I think the report was generated and has a lot of good information. I think there are goals and objectives that have been outlined in the report. An action plan, I think they're going to add a KPI, key performance indicator list to the report. But outside of that, I think after that is done, it's going to be in the hands of Mr. Esborn and the administration to move forward and champion.
Any further discussions? Mr. Zuber?
Just that there's a lot of data in that report. I've given it to a couple different people that are astonished by the amount of information that's in that report. And I think that they had talked about having some type of public input over the next month or so to gather more information if any is needed, or really get it out to the public. So I think it's a very good report. And I look forward to further discussion on it.
Thank you. Ms. Gentry?
If the public would like to view that information, how would they get a hold of that document?
Mr. Mayor?
We can get it out on the website. The plan is to get it out there so everybody can see it. It's a very lengthy document, so it takes a long time to go through. Don't print it out.
If I could.
400-something pages,
If I
I
could
believe.
continue, the presentation said that what we received was their rough one, that they actually have a more refined report that they're going to be putting together with graphics. That I think that's the one that we want out there, because it will take all those paragraphs and have examples, graphic examples in them, if you don't mind.
No, that's,
Mr. Shamir?
I agree.
I think that draft is going to be updated with the discussions what items that were brought up in the discussion. I think once it's updated, then it can be posted.
Right.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, is that good with you?
No, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Next will be Mr. Zuber with Finance.
Thank you. I have no formal report this evening. I do have a update on the income tax collections through the first 6 months of the year. The collections are up 4.6%, or $454,000 above last year, which was a record year. We're about the same dollar amount ahead that we were last month. We do have 2 Finance Committee meetings coming. July 1st, the Finance Committee meeting will be at 5:30 in this room. That will be the auditors from the State Auditor's Office will be coming and giving us their report. And then on July 7th, we'll have our regular Finance Committee meeting. And I know that the Finance Director's out of town, but I will be meeting with her next week and to discuss those items.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Zuber? Okay, we're going to move on to Mr. Smith with HR, Human Resources.
Thank you. There's no report this evening. Our next human resource meeting, though, committee meeting is scheduled for July 14th at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one would be Mr. Cos with Public Safety and Health.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. The Public Safety and Health Committee met last Tuesday. We had a full quorum. We had one item on the agenda, which led to a piece of legislation that is before everybody today, and that is ordinance number 25-129. And this is a review of Chapter 474, which was previously called Bicycles and Motorcycles Generally. And Chief Robinson and I, this is all dealing with electric bicycles, which has been very much a topic in the community. Chief Robinson and I went through that chapter pretty much line by line and made a number of suggestions to bring the current bicycle ordinance up to speed, with also including the language for electric bicycles, where that term appeared in some parts of the sections but not others. So it really needed to be uniform and brought up to the current levels. So we went through it all section by section, line by line, and added electric bicycles throughout that piece of legislation, or throughout that ordinance, and that is before everyone tonight. The committee passed the adoption of the changes 3-0 with a recommendation that it be passed on the first reading here tonight with the suspension of the rules in the emergency. And this is to give the Avon Lake Police Department the time, or the authority that they need in this prime summer season to have the electric bicycles ordinances up to date. There were some gaps in there between, you could cite for a bicycle on one thing, but not electric bicycles on another, because it wasn't specifically mentioned in some sections. So this has given the police department the tools that they need to do their job. If there is an issue with the electric bikes in the community, they would now, should this pass tonight, they would have that authority to do so. And I will speak more to the ordinance when we get to that later tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cos? Okay, we're going to move right into public service. We had a public service meeting. It was very lengthy. Out of that meeting on our agenda, we have 13 items. Of the 13, there's 11 of them. There's suspension of the rule emergency passage. Most of them have to do with items like aggregate and asphalt and concrete that we need within our in-house. This is construction season, and so you're going to be seeing those come up. I'm going to go into all 13 of those items when they come up into greater detail. But they came out of the CCM meeting and the Public Service Committee meeting. Any questions? Okay, we're going to move on then to Mr. Smith with Planning Commission.
Thank you. There's no report for Planning Commission. We do have some items on the agenda tonight, including the approval of the preliminary plat for Avon Center Estates 2, Phase 6, which we'll be doing by motion. The other are the Sand Ridge subdivision final plat along with the Portside final plat. There were some questions that Colleen Spring advised were taken care of. There were a couple more that I was advised by Colleen to ask Mr. Liskovic about. I did contact him, and if he would just indicate for our records here that the punch list items have been taken care of as well.
Yes, that is correct. We reviewed all that at the end of the day today ahead of this meeting, so.
So with that, I will be moving those for suspension of the rule and as an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you for the details. Yes, she did contact us that all the checks came in. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Cos?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. Specifically for the final plat for Portside, that plat, is there an issue with some of the language that was used with regards to barrier, gate, as it relates to the Hanford area, which is in that general area, and also the traffic circle? That was brought forth by a resident just prior to the meeting tonight. I don't know if Mr. Smith's the best one to answer that, Mr. Ebert, Mr. Mayor, where we are on the barrier, gate, all of that.
Would somebody like to come? David, can you give us the number? We have 3 pages of ordinances.
I
talking
believe it's
about
actually in,
128?
I believe it's actually in the plat itself.
Yeah, so you're talking about 25-128 down, is that the one?
It's 128,
Okay.
that's correct.
So the final plat itself for Portside Townhouse subdivision, you're looking for the actual plat itself?
Yeah,
And I
that
think
was,
Mr. Smith is pulling it out of his
Yeah.
briefcase now.
and while he's doing that, I think the concern from the resident on that was if it says gate on the plat and we're looking at more of a barrier type of issue, how does that work with regards to what we're approving?
Thank you.
Does that make sense, kind of?
When it comes to the gate, I would defer to the mayor on that.
While he's looking, I don't have an answer as it relates to the plat to that. I'm looking at our planning commission notes to see if there's anything mentioned specifically there.
And I don't have the plat with me, the final plat that was approved at planning commission. Before we go to Mr. Flipkowski, he's got it.
Mr. Kokowski, could you hand it to Mr. Smith, please? Thank you.
What is, oh, that's MOU, yeah. I see Mr. Schmier had a question.
Mr. Shamir?
Is there a reference to a roundabout on the plat?
No.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Cos, I'm going to summarize. So the one question had to do with the roundabout. We have the answer there. The second question has to do with, was there a barrier mentioned or was there a gate? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Was there a third question, sir?
No, I believe that was it.
Okay, thank you.
Hang on a second. So I'm looking at the planning commission notes. It says temporary traffic barrier was installed on Hanford Boulevard at the request of residents will remain in place pending the completion of the traffic study. This interim measure does not impact the technical review or the final plat's compliance with city code.
Okay. And that was the only, if I may, Madam Chair? if I
Yes, go
can-
ahead, please.
And that was the only mention in there of that? I don't recall, so
I
I'm, that's
I
why I'm
have,
asking.
I don't see it on the plat, I could be missing it, but I don't see it here. But one thing with the approval of the plat, it will be the official connection of the two roadways going forward as well. Once the plat's recorded and and recorded with the county, then the two streets are connected. But I do not see the gate on the final plat.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, we're going to thank you for all the details. We're going to move on then to Mr. Mayor with the zoning board.
The next meeting is this Wednesday, the 25th at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Mayor about zoning? Okay, Mr. Shamir with Parks and Rec Commission.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Special committees? Yes, sir. Mr. Arnold.
We talked about the CCM, but as far as the short-term rentals go, we had a committee meeting on that recently. The discussion that we had was about registration, inspection, limitations, saturation, penalties for any issues that would have. And then Mr. Ebert did send us over on Wednesday a draft form of a short-term rental legislation. So obviously, council's reviewing that. I was out of town this weekend, didn't get a chance to look at it, but we will review that and have another committee meeting soon.
Right. Mr. Arnold, it has a number of blanks in it, and so he wrote it, then he says, do you want this, or do you want that, or something else? So there's answers to his questions that need to be made, and that's why you're going to be having another meeting.
Yes,
Thank you, sir.
and also I would say that what came out of that committee meeting was a moratorium, potential moratorium of 6 months for any new Airbnbs, and that's on the agenda tonight. I voted yes on bringing that to the CCM for more discussion of council, but I don't know if David has any more to say about that.
Thank you. Mr. Skaz?
Yeah, thank you very much. So I do have that on for suspension of the rule tonight to get that moratorium in place, as we are now also beginning the journey on an actual piece of legislation that we're going to run through Mr. Arnold's committee. Just going from some of the comments that I heard from Mr. Smith and Mr. Zuber earlier, with concerned about not having a parallel course on these two actions, being generally overall supportive, but not without a parallel course of it. We are kind of on a parallel course. We've got a draft piece of legislation that was circulated to all members of council, and we have a meeting scheduled within the next 2 weeks at the committee to discuss it. I'm not sure what would be the difficulty. I hope that everyone would consider supporting the moratorium tonight and getting that, in place as we begin the actual discussion on the legislation draft that was presented to everybody. That's kind of the point that I hope to have with the moratorium, is to kind of freeze everything and then begin working through the other piece of legislation, which is going to take a lot more time, have 3 readings, and probably a lot of discussion as well, too, with that. So I will be asking for suspension of the rule on that. I hope to get that locked in. We are making the steps, as was mentioned. The 2 important steps: have a draft piece of draft from the law director for all members of council to review, and we're going to be setting that meeting in the next 2 weeks or so, more than likely, to begin the committee process and hopefully have something to council to start moving through that. But it is in the works. It's not one and then the other one hasn't started. We do have we do have both moving forward, and I hope to have support for the moratorium tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes, sir. Mr.
Yeah.
Smith?
Thank you, Madam President. I cannot support the suspension of the rules on the moratorium. I think, one, it's too long to be 6 months. I think if we're going to hold up the Airbnbs while we're doing the legislation, I don't think we need 6 months to do that. I don't see the connection there. But that's just my opinion for right now. Thank you.
Mr. Zuber, your hand up?
I would just say I was looking for the two pieces to go together. I would have no problem if there is a suspension of the rules supporting it, but I'm not going to support the suspension of the rule unless there was a companion piece with it, as I stated last week.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we're going to move on now. Yes?
Just have one more question. Mr. Cost, you mentioned at the CCM that you're going to limit to 1,000 feet. Is that, I didn't see that in the legislation. Maybe I just.
Mr. Cos?
No, what is presented to us is is a moratorium on all new short-term rentals for the 6 months, and I might want to add, or until legislation is passed. So, no, that has not been added.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Gentry?
Yeah, I think in the meeting last week, we had discussed that the moratorium, while it said 6 months, the intent was always to have it end as soon as we have the legislation passed. And I don't, we've got a pretty good starting point, so I don't see it taking 6 months.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'm not going to be able to support the suspension of the rule for the moratorium either, and the reason is that this came about because there was a property on James Circle that was causing issues, and the way that the moratorium reads, all existing Airbnbs will continue, so that's not really taking care of that issue. It's looking at those that haven't even existed yet, and this is the summer season when they come alive. So if somebody just bought a property over the spring and they were fixing it up, getting ready to put it out there, we would be penalizing them. I don't see that solving the problem. I see solving the problem moving quickly ahead with an ordinance for a short-term rental. Okay, now we're at
Madam
the...
President, may I?
Yes,
may
go
I ask-
ahead.
say one more thing? I will not be seeking the suspension of the rules tonight. I'll be doing this for a first reading and bringing it back for suspension of the rules next week. And I expect.
2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, and I expect by that time, our committee will have had an opportunity to review this, and we'll have a better companion piece with which to line it up with.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Law Director has something to say?
Mr. President, so are you suggesting, you're going to put in first reading, but are you suggesting to change that legislation to from 6 months to, or until legislation is passed? Just put 4 months or until legislation, or 3 months? What is
On the
your,
other side of the page, it says
yeah,
until.
yeah, until. I know it says until, so I don't know what you want me to change that. Thank you.
Mr. Cos?
I think that we can discuss it more in Mr. Arnold's committee.
Okay.
But I think that when I bring it back in 2 weeks, if during that meeting, providing we have it before the next 2 weeks, if it's the feeling that I get that we need to massage that 6 months to a 3 months or language until such ordinance is passed, I'll take that into consideration.
Anybody else? All right, now we're going to go out to the public for audience participation. And this is the time that you're going to be coming for 3 minutes on any topic that's on tonight's agenda. If it's not on tonight's agenda, we still have time at the end for 5 minutes. Somebody want to come forward with something on tonight's agenda? Come on up, give us your name and the city that you're from.
Boulevard. About item 25-128, which is the final plat plan from Pulte. Last week at the collective committee meeting, I read the piece that was in there in your notes, and it said circle. I don't know why you can't find it. I called it to your attention last week, which would make you, if you pass it, it's a wrong document. It should be corrected because it's like a different intersection now, and Pulte happily helped us out with that. I know I wasn't reading it wrong, but like I said, I don't know if anybody reread it or not, but it says circle. The other thing is, in the whole use of the term, a temporary traffic banner was installed on Hanford Boulevard at the request of residents and will remain in place pending the completion of the traffic impact study. Well, that's a variation. That's kind of changing words to your own benefits from the standpoint that the MOU says gate. It specifically says gate. Pulte has kindly come up with $15,000 that you've got to put the gate up. And I think the wording here is to try to water that down. The other thing is we're about, 35, 37 days past the 30-day limit when you're supposed to start work on the gate. So now you've more than doubled the time that you promised in the MOU, a signed document, to actually get busy and get working on it. Not a shovel's been laid or dug into the ground or anything. What are you going to do? We want answers.
Anybody else want to come up?
Hi, Debbie Yu, Avon Lake. I want to specifically address today's ordinance 25-128. This is the final plat for Portside, and wanted to also, I agree with my neighbor, Mr. Orlowski, but I want to specifically bring to this council's attention the inconsistencies of ordinance 25-128 with the prior past ordinance 24-158. Ordinance, the final plat that's contained in ordinance 25-128 before this council today specifically not only indicates the traffic circle, but also indicates that a temporary traffic barrier was installed and will remain in place pending the completion of a traffic impact study. That language is inconsistent with ordinance 24-158, which was passed last year. And in that particularly, the legislative intent of this council was set forth in paragraph number 5 of ordinance 24-158. It indicates that the city desires that a gate be installed, not temporary barrier, installed on the connecting roadway into Portside development that will only allow travel onto the connecting roadway for emergency vehicles. And then the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding that was incorporated by ordinance 24-158 specifically states in paragraph number 3 that the city shall be responsible for the installation of the capital word gate within 30 days. Nowhere does it indicate a temporary traffic barrier, and nowhere does that indicate that it will remain in place until the traffic impact study. In fact, the language that is used in the final plat, ordinance 25-128 before this council today, indicates specifically that it appears that this council has in fact predetermined the results of the traffic impact study. This corroborates what I indicated and stated during my public comments last week at the CCM meeting, that my neighbors and I, your constituents, are not being heard. We continuously receive excuses, and we receive statements from not all, but some of those on council that seems to patronize and be condescending in terms of our needs and our concerns. And I'd appreciate it if this council would please all listen to your constituents, listen to our concerns, which are valid ones, and we are being impacted by this, and we are asking that council act consistently and deny the ordinance 25-128 today. Thank you.
Anybody else want to come forward on any topic that's on tonight's agenda?
William Zimmerman. I want to talk about 25 through everything that's a first read. We'll just go with that. Because at the conclusion of every one of those, it says declaring an emergency. That includes Mr. Koss's items, Mr. Smith's, and Ms. Jennifer. Your items as well. Are we in that much of a rush that we have to do legislation like this? Mr. Koss says that the bicycle stuff was discussed at a recent safety meeting, and then he had a meeting with the police to try to figure out what to do. But did it ever go to a CCM? Was there ever communication amongst the rest of you so you had an opportunity to voice your opinion and discuss the matter? Or are we just going from step 1 to step 4 without doing anything in between? It's not the way it's supposed to work. I know you know that. It's what you did with the Burns-Ochner ordinance, to have them pay. Mr. Shamir said he never even saw the document until that night. This is the problem with Avon Lake's legislation. It's not done properly. Pick and choose whatever's important to you, the agenda that you want, not what's right for the public. My fellow residents have said this about this portion of their city over on Hanford and all the connection points there talked about a gate. 37 days passed, and you still don't have it right? Like she says, all you do is patronize. They call, ask questions. You guys give them some answer that means nothing, because nobody's doing it. So 128 shouldn't be moving forward. It should be tabled, especially if you don't have the legislation correct and the wordage isn't right from the prior legislation. I thought you guys picked up on this stuff. You read the stuff. You knew what was in it. Not having a CCM meeting about the bikes is an issue. I can't help it, you're going on break and everybody wants to leave and be on vacation. I don't care. I don't get to do that. I still come to the meetings. You guys need to do your job. You work for us.
Would anybody else like to come forward on any topic on tonight? Okay, we're going to be moving forward then. The very first motion I'm going to be sponsoring. I move to authorize the city engineer and public works director to advertise requests for qualifications, also called an RFQ, for country club bridge design. And what this is about is a topic that was at public service and also CCM. It has to do with country club, and it was identified by the state of Ohio that the following items were found. The culvert pipes along the bottom of at 5 o'clock east side and 7 o'clock west side have advanced section loss. The west corrugated metal pipe exhibits 100% section loss at the typical water line for the full length below the roadway. The west pipe south of the roadway at 5 o'clock, there is a 13-foot length of 100% section loss, and it goes on and on. So that's the reason why it's before us. It's a motion to go out for an RFQ this evening. Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber.
Yes.
Mr. Arnold.
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Yes.
Ms. Gentry.
Yes.
Mr. Koss.
Yes.
Mr. Shamir.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you, it is passed. I move to permit Mr. Arnold to be excused from voting on ordinance numbers 25-124, 25-125, and 25-126 pursuant to codified ordinance 220.19B. And the reason is that Bram Halls is one of his clients. Therefore, we need a full membership here on council to finish our agenda tonight. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber.
Yes.
Mr. Arnold.
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Yes.
Ms. Gentry.
Yes.
Mr. Koss.
Yes.
Mr. Shamir.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you, that too has passed. Okay, I move to establish the boards and commissions structure review ad hoc committee with members Camber Herman, Dale Slavinsky, and Larry Sansom. In discussion, I want to share with you that I have their resumes in front of me. Well, I had their resumes in front of me. Here they are. I have them. Camber, her name is Karen Herman. Her friends call her Camber. Camber is retired from human resources, both public and private. Dale Slavinsky, his experience is in high-speed manufacturing, production companies such as Energizer Auto Care, Gojo Industries, Nestle, and others. Larry Sansom has been in management operations experience in public and private entity, ESOP, and private companies, such as Rabo Machine, Thogus Product Industries, and others. Ms. Rossmarin, the roll?
Mr. Zuber.
Yes.
Mr. Arnold.
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh.
Yes.
Ms. Gentry.
Yes.
Mr. Koss.
Yes.
Mr. Shamir.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you. This too has passed. Mr. Smith?
Thank you. I move that the City of Avon Lake approve the Avon Center Estates Number 2, Phase 6 preliminary plat as recommended by Planning Commission on June 6, 2025. subject to the following conditions. Clarify street frontage for lots 331, 311, 301, 303, 310, 295, and 300. Add note that the Spyglass Court cul-de-sac island is to be maintained by the Homeowners Association. 3, identify the location of clustered mailbox unit. 4, add a minimum 15-foot corner radii at all intersections. 5, revise Spyglass Court right-of-way to a minimum of 65-foot radius. And 6, install individual storm sewer laterals for each yard drain.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Yes, regarding this, the developer has indicated that they will take care of all 6 of those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw Mr. Zuber's hand.
Yeah, I believe that Mr. Smith said the planning commission on June 6th.
Oh, did I say?
Yeah.
Even though it says June 3rd right
Yes.
there for me to read?
I think you were hung up on the 6,
Oh, the
different
6th,
changes.
yeah, it could be. June 3rd.
I just want to clarify that for the record.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Ross Marin.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This is passed. Now we're at legislation, third readings. Ms. Ross Marin, please read ordinance number 25-109 by title only.
An ordinance amending planning and zoning code sections 1214, 1224, 1226, 1234, and 1236.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, I move the third reading of ordinance number 25-109.
Any further discussion?
Only that Ms. Gentry had found that we did not include or improvement plans in section number 2, step 8A, and that has been corrected.
Yes, it's in red. Very good.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Ross Marin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This is passed. Now we're down to second readings. Mrs. Ross Marin, read by title only, ordinance number 25-112.
An ordinance enacting codified ordinance chapter 1470, demolition.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes, this ordinance defines the requirements for permits, environmental safeguards, insurance and bonding requirements, demolition, site restoration, to ensure that the demolition activities don't pose a risk to neighboring properties, residents, or environment.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we will go on then to ordinance number 25-113. Mrs. Ross Marin, by title only.
An ordinance amending codified ordinance chapter 1438, licensing of contractors defined, section 438.01, contractor defined, and codified ordinance chapter 1468, unsafe buildings.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes, this is a companion ordinance to the demolition ordinance, and the first one defines the contractor for demolition, and the second one updates 1468.10, which just states that all demolitions shall comply with chapter 1470.
Any further discussion? Thank you. And we will go on to resolution number 25-115. Mrs. Ross Marin, read by title only.
A resolution adopting and declaring the 2026 tax budget and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Zuber?
I move for the suspension of the council rule requiring 3 readings.
Mrs. Ross Marin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Zuber?
I move for passage of resolution 25-115.
In discussion?
This is the tax budget. This was voted out of the committee to be suspended on, the rules suspended on the second reading so that we can get this to the county. This is the first part of the 2026 budgeting process. This basically has to go to the county to prove to them that we need them to collect our mainly property taxes for the following year.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you, that has passed. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only, ordinance number 25-116.
An ordinance amending codified ordinance chapter 220, council.
Thank you. This is the second reading, and in this particular ordinance, we have defined what our meeting times will be for regular meetings, for special meetings. We have defined what the outline will be for our meetings, whether they be regular meetings, special meetings, or work sessions, CCMs. Emergency passage. We have talked about the three readings with suspension of the rule, emergency passage are. We've also discussed in one section that we have duplicated throughout, public input. Is there any further discussion? Okay, then we will move on then to the next one. Now we're down to first readings. Ordinance number 25-117. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
An ordinance awarding a contract for the 2025 crack sealing program to Specialized Construction Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
I move for suspension of the rule requiring three readings. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh? Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-117. The city engineer has prepared plans and specifications for the 225 crack sealing program. Bids went out, they were received, they were opened, they were tabulated, and Specialized Construction, Inc. of Cuyahoga Heights was the low and best bidder. The base bid was $31,750. Add alternate 1 was at $10,500. Add alternate 2 was at $12,000, and add alternate 3 was at $8,500 for a total of $62,750. This is declared to be an emergency measure. The emergency is a necessity of implementing the 2025 crack sealing program during the summer construction season for the city in-house to crack seal our streets that will extend their life. Thus is for the public health, safety, and welfare. It also is a contract that's going out. I'm sorry, it's not in-house. It's for going out. Any further discussion? Okay, Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This is passed. Ordinance number 25-118. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor and finance director to apply for, accept, and enter into a cooperative agreement for construction of the 2025 water bundle project between Avon Lake Board of Municipal Utilities, DBA, Avon Lake Regional Water, the City of Avon Lake, and the Ohio Water Development Authority, and declaring an emergency.
I move for suspension of the rule requiring three readings. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Is passed. I move for a passage of ordinance number 25-118 in discussions. As was stated, the City of Avon Lake and the Avon Lake Board of Municipal Utilities, known as Avon Lake Regional Water, seek to improve the stormwater system, appendices, and drinking water infrastructure. The city desires to obtain a loan from the Ohio Water Development Authority, also known as OWDA, to finance the cost of construction of the facilities in the cooperative agreement, which is defined below. The emergency measure is that it's for the immediate preservation and public peace, health, and safety of the City of Avon Lake and Avon Lake Regional Water, for the reason that the immediate construction of the 2025 water bundle project at the earliest possible time is necessary in order to protect the health of the inhabitants of the city by providing safe drinking water and adequate stormwater system improvements. And Council, you have the agreement that follows, that goes through this bundle package that we will be involved in. is something that is very, very large. We're happy to work with Avon Lake Regional Water and able to obtain these low-interest loans. Any further discussion? Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. The two is passed. Okay, now we're down to resolution number 25-119. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission State Capital Improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh? Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. I move for passage of resolution number 25-119. The State Capital Improvement Program and the Local Transportation Improvement Program both provide financial assistance to political subdivisions for capital improvements to public infrastructure. The City of Avon Lake is planning to make major capital improvements to the city's infrastructure. And there's a priority need for the community to be in order for us to be a qualified project under OPWC. This resolution is hereby declared to be an emergency, the emergency being the necessity of filing the application with OPWC by their deadline in order to receive a grant to provide improvements to the city's infrastructure and provide safe driving conditions on city roads. This is for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. Mrs. Ross, any further discussion? Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2. Okay, before I go on, the next 4 that we're going to read are all in-house. These are items that we did not used to go out to bid for. Since Mr. Skovic has been with us, we go out to bid, and we're saving the city a lot of money. Is for projects that we do in-house, and it's the supplies to keep them going into the construction season. Mrs. Rossmarin, read the ordinance number 25-120 by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Terminal Ready Mix for the purchase of ready-mix concrete and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. It's passed. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-120. Through the bid process, this contract and this agreement, which will expire March 31st of 2026, will be awarded to Terminal Ready Mix at 524 Colorado Avenue in Lorain, Ohio for Class C ready mix concrete. Is declared to be an emergency measure, the emergency being the necessity to provide ready-mix concrete for road surface treatments. Thus is for the health, safety, and welfare of the public, and will go into effect immediately after its passage and approval by the mayor. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. It is passed. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only, ordinance number 25-121.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Westview Concrete Corp. For the purchase of ready-mix concrete and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-121. Like the others, this agreement will expire March 31st of 2026. It's with Westview Concrete Corp., located at 26000 Sprague Road, Olmsted Falls, for the purchase of ready-mix concrete in the following types: LSM 100, MS Mix, FS Mix. It's declared to be an emergency measure because it's the necessity of obtaining these items for the road surface treatments. This is for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. It will go into effect immediately after its passage and approval by the mayor. Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
It has passed. Ordinance number 25-122, Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Area Aggregates LLC for the purchase of street resurfacing materials and declaring an emergency.
I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-122. Like the others, this agreement expires March 31st, 2026. And it's with Area Aggregates LLC located at 4755 South High Street, Columbus, Ohio, for the following products. Number 1 limestone, number 57 limestone, number 8 limestone, number 10 limestone, number 304 limestone, and number 411. It is declared to be an emergency. The emergency is the necessity to provide for street surfacing treatments, thus is for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. It will go into effect immediately after its passage and approval by the mayor. Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This too is passed. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only, ordinance number 25-123.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Cocosin Materials Incorporated for the purchase of street resurfacing materials and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings.
Mr.
Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. It is passed. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-123. Like the others, this agreement is through March 31st of 2026 with Cocosin Materials, Inc., located at 1751 Waterford Road, Frederickstown, Ohio, for the following types of asphalt patching: type 301, type 448. It's declared to be an emergency measure, the emergency being the necessity to provide street surface treatments, thus is for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. It will go into effect in full force immediately after the passage and approval by the mayor. Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir? Mr. Shamir? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This is passed. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only, ordinance number 25-124.
An ordinance authorizing engineering consultant services from Bromhall Engineering and Surveying Company for construction, observation, and contract administration of Walker Road pave-in project, Phase 5, and declaring an emergency.
I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
This is passed. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-124. Avon Lake City Charter, Section 59, entitled Competitive Bidding, authorizes the expenditure of funds without public bidding for personal services as defined by the charter. The City of Avon Lake desires to retain the personal services of Bramhall Engineering and Surveying Company of Avon to provide construction observation, contract administration for the Walker Road paving project number 5, Phase 5, for the amount not to exceed $78,080, and is in our Exhibit A that we have. This ordinance is declared to be an emergency measure, the emergency being the necessity of providing construction observation, contract administration in the resurfacing of the main thoroughfare in the city. Thus is for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Avon Lake. This ordinance, if it should pass, will be in full force immediately after its passage and approval by the mayor. And that's it, if you could. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Well, I have a presentation which applies to the next three, if I may, to show why I'm objecting to this contract. So this is a discussion we had 4 months ago about awarding contracts by the city engineer to the company who he is a vice president and a partner of. Now, as you see, Mr. Howard is a partner within Bramhall Engineering. Now, in Ohio, including Avon Lake, a city engineer is considered a city official when they are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by city council, or when they are entrusted with public authority and responsibility, even if serving in a contract or a consulting role. So when you look at Mr. Howard, he is acting as the city engineer and effectively as an employee of an employee of the city. He has authority to make decision on behalf of the city. He is the sole technical evaluator of technical documents that are submitted to the city. So any technical qualification for engineering services goes through him. So when you look at this, a city engineer signs off on infrastructure contracts or site approvals. They are considered a public official for the purpose of conflict of interest rules. Now, the legal and ethical definition, Avon Lake currently contracts its engineering services, but these contractors are often act with the authority of as a city official. So Mr. Howard, if you look at every document that's out there, is the city engineer and the city official. Now, I find it interesting how a city engineer can effectively award, technically qualify his own firm to award a contract to that firm. He's a partner. He takes a benefit. Even as an employee, he takes a benefit. So a city engineer is considered a city official. Whether he's appointed or contracted, decision-making is what he does. So when you look at ethical laws, this is unethical. I believe that this clearly is a conflict of interest. Now, what is the takeaway? If a city engineer, mayor, council member, or city contractor approves, recommends, or influences a city contract and has any personal or business interest in that contract, even indirectly, through a company they own or manage, then they are very likely in violation of ORC 2921.42a. Now, I am told that he is not a city employee. Now, this is in the motion today, authorizing the civil engineer and public works director, the city engineer and the public works director to advertise requests for qualification, authorizing the city engineer. Now, you tell me if this is not a city employee authorized to do work on behalf of the city. So when you look at this documentation, there's another example. Geotechnical services, this is from March 12, 24. And when you go into the Public Service Committee meeting, geotechnical services for city projects, RFQ, advertisement, ended 1/12/2024. And the city engineer, Mr. Howard, has reviewed and approved this document. So again, here's Mr. Howard, a partner. And here are these contracts that are in different amounts, $78,000, $79,000, and $430 some odd thousand that are going to be awarded to his company, which he's a partner in This city is telling me that this is not a conflict of interest. Well, when you look at it, there's your city engineer, there's your consulting services, you got the public works director, the law director, and the mayor. You have city council, okay? Now, what we are doing, we are saying, let's award contract in a non-compete basis to the company that the city engineer works for, who's a partner in. If that is not ludicrous, I don't know what is. So I find it that is my responsibility as a fiduciary on behalf of this city and my residents, the residents of Ward 1 and the residents of this city, to question this. You may have 6 other people within council voting for this thing, but if they're saying it's an emergency, we have the same issue that was brought up by myself in February of 2025. Now, you had 4 months to go out and find contractors to do the work. I understand it. You fell behind. So for 4 months, since February, you did not go out and get contracts. So we're about to award additional contracts with over $1 million to Bramhall, and I find that, unfortunately, a bit upsetting, because just like the residents of this city, I'm a taxpayer as well. And I find the ability of the city engineer to technically qualify his own firm to do the work as ludicrous. Nowhere in a procurement procedure in industry, this would be allowed. Even in ORC, there are examples of what can and what cannot be done. So that is the reason I object and vote no on all 3 of these. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? Mr. Cos?
Yeah, thank you, Madam President. The law director circulated a memorandum to members of council under attorney worked product. As we know, attorney worked product is only works if council agrees to keep it under that. I would ask that that document become a public record and the law director speak to what is in the memorandum that he circulated to members of council.
Mr. Ebert?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I did circulate this afternoon a memorandum concerning the issue, what was a conflict, that he's not a city official, he's not an employee. I received when I got here tonight Mr. Shamir's handout, his memo, and I will address that more fully after I have an opportunity tomorrow to take a look in further. But the revised code and the case citations that I've set forth in my memo are correct. He's not an employee, he's not a city official, he's not classified as a city official. But I'll be happy to elaborate more fully and address Mr. Shamir's specific points of his memorandum that was passed out tonight.
If I could also state that it was stated in the presentation we just had that Mr. Howard through Bramhall does geotech services. He does not. He contracts those out. Mr. Mayor, is there anything else? I saw your hand up, I thought. No? It's your hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
And specifically, Mr. Howard and the Bramhall are precluded from working in design criteria and design built, because that is classified as a conflict under the state law. And I cite that in my memorandum.
So he's not doing construction work?
Correct.
He's doing design work, and then he's inspecting the design work, and he's
Well, I
assisting
can't do the
with
design
the
build or
bidding.
architecture or design criteria for the engineer. But I'll be happy to address that later.
Any further discussion to my left? Mr. Shamir?
I did not mention that he does geotechnical. I utilize that example as a city engineer approving a geotechnical contractor. That was to show that he has authority on behalf of the city to do technical qualification. I never said that he did geotechnical. So let that be clear. And, I would like to get I would like to get Mr. Smith's read on this, because Mr. Ebert's contract as well, he's a contractor with the city as the law director, and his firm works with the city as well without tendering. So if you want to have a conflicted contract evaluating another conflicted contract, I find that kind of absurd. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion from anyone? Mr. Smith?
Yeah, since I'm not the law director, I'm going to have to say that I really am not in a position to make an opinion relative to that. At this point, I have to rely on our law director with regard to what his opinion is on this. I would say that relative to this particular issue, it again highlights the need for us to get a city engineer and hire a city engineer for this city pursuant to the charter. I just think that that's crucial, and I know that we're working toward that, but I think this again highlights that particular difficulty. Thank you.
I agree with you, sir. Anybody else? Mr. Cos?
Yeah, just that one question that I had again. What would be the process to make this document that Mr. Ebert circulated to the mayor and council today a public document so the public can be aware of, of the opinion that Mr. Ebert gave to members of the city council?
Mr. Ebert, can you
Well,
respond?
it is a public document. I've circulated it. I can share it with anyone knows. But I will follow up with more comments regardless of how you vote tonight. I will address Mr. Shamir's specific presentation in his memorandum he passed out tonight.
Mr. Ebert, I believe that Mr. Cos was referring to the title on the second page stating that it was privileged and confidential work.
No, it was when I circulated. It's now a public document.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Anybody else? We have a motion on the floor. Anybody else? All right, we're at the time where we're going to have a roll call then. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
It has passed. Thank you. We're going to now move on to ordinance number 25-125. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Bramhall Engineering and Surveying Company for design services and bid assistance for the Walker Road Rehabilitation Project, Phase 6, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. It is passed. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-125. Avon Lake City Charter Section 5.9, entitled Competitive Bidding, authorizes the expenditure of funds without public bidding for personal services as defined by the charter. The City of Avon Lake desires to retain the personal services of Bramhall Engineering and Surveying Company of Avon, Ohio, to provide design services and bid assistance for the Walker Road Rehabilitation Project, Phase 6. The personal services shall not exceed $79,725. They are detailed in Exhibit A. This ordinance is declared to be an emergency measure, the emergency being the necessity of preparing construction plans, providing bid assistance for the rehabilitation of this main thoroughfare in the city. Thus, it's for the health, safety, welfare of the citizens of Avon Lake. If this should pass, it will be in full force immediately after its passage and approval by the mayor. Any further discussion? Mr. Shamir?
I would like to know who has done the technical evaluation on this document and who has done the financial evaluation on the pricing and comparison with other typical services.
Thank you. I'm going to send it over to the administration. Mr. Mayor?
I don't have a specific answer to that question. The finance director is not here, so I can't really answer that. I don't know if Mr. Liskovic has any further information on it.
I do not have anything at this moment.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we need to have a roll.
Mr. Zuber? Yes. Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This is passed. I'm going to move on now to ordinance number 25-126. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a professional services agreement with Bramhall Engineering and Surveying Company for design services and bid assistance for the 2026 road program and declaring an emergency.
I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry? Mr. Koss.
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This is passed. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-126. And in discussion, Avon Lake City Charter, Section 59, entitled Competitive Bidding, authorizes the expenditure of funds without public bidding for personal services as defined in the charter. The City of Avon Lake desires to retain the personal services of Bramhall Engineering and Surveying Company of Avon, Ohio, to provide design services and bid assistance for the 2026 road program. So we're doing it now so that we can have our budget ready when we start our budget process in September. The personal services shall not exceed $434,000, which I will itemize on the next pages. This emergency is an emergency measure. If it should pass, it's the necessity of preparing construction plans, providing bid assistance for the 2026 road program. Thus is for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Avon Lake. And if it should pass, it will take effect, be in full force immediately after its passage and approval by the mayor. At this point in time, the following streets have been identified, and they have all had their geotechnical borings for concrete pavement reconstruction. The following streets are Charleston Avenue, Chelsea Avenue, Surrey Lane, Brandon Place, Nottingham Drive, Britannia Parkway. The asphalt pavement reconstruction consists of the following streets: June Street, Burton Street, York Street, Woodstock Avenue, Maple Cliff Drive, which is part of the circle around, Herman Drive. The concrete streets are estimated that the construction will cost $4,714,847. The asphalt streets construction is estimated to cost $3,207,400. The estimate that is before us from Bramhall has 3 tasks. The first task is to perform a topographic survey, base mapping of the project streets. Bramhall will contact OOPS and coordinate with utility owners. Task 2, prepare construction plans for the streets listed above. Plans will be prepared for the concrete and asphalt streets so they can be bid separately. Task 3, prepare bidding documents for the concrete and asphalt streets, including advertisement to bid to procure the competitive bids. And I have more. The design engineering from Bramhall for task 1 and 2 comes to a total not to exceed $425,000. The bidding assistance, which is task 3, comes to a total not to exceed $9,000 for a lump sum total of $434,000. Any further discussion? Mr. Shamir.
Well, we had 4 months from the last time we had this discussion for the city to go out and contract engineering firms to do the work. 4 months, which the city did not do. We're back to the same place to award a direct contract. Now, we're about to award a contract, in this case, $434,000, without bidding, the scope of work, and the financial side evaluation. I can't get from the city, the administration, the mayor, and the contract owner to tell us how they did the technical evaluation and how they did the financial evaluation on this scope of work. So we blindly move forward and approve something that the mayor cannot tell us right now how the scope was evaluated or how the financials were evaluated, nor the contract owner, Mr. Liskovic. Thank you.
Any further discussion by anyone? Okay, we have a motion before us. Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This is passed. Ordinance number 25-127. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
An ordinance approving the final plat for Sandridge Run subdivision and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings.
Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. It's passed. Mr. Smith.
Yes, this is for the final plat approval for the Sand Ridge subdivision. It is set forth as an emergency measure in order to avoid unnecessary delay in the mortgage closings of homes and to allow the city to begin collecting taxes on these properties and to add revenue to the city, thus for the public health, safety, and welfare.
Mr. Smith, do you have a motion?
Yes, thank you. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-127.
Thank you. Any further discussion by anyone? Seeing none, Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This is passed. Ordinance number 25-128. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
An ordinance approving the final plat for Portside Townhouse subdivision and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings.
Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
No.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
No.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 to 3.
Right.
So it did not pass for suspension of the rule because we needed 5. Okay, then this is going to be a first reading. Mr. Smith?
Yes, I move the first reading. If I could go from my seat to the table
Yes,
for
sir.
a second, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're going to have a presentation, sir? We have it ready for you.
I need that plat. We have that plat. Thank you. I just wanted to put the plat up. There was a couple questions about this, the plat and the connection to Hanford Drive. I need to get this, can everybody see it all right? There was one this is the final plat that was approved by Planning Commission. Here's the area where there was some discussion of a traffic loop right here. And you can see that that traffic loop on the final plat is not there. There is some discussion of a gate I saw on the public access easement, but that had to do with an area down where the private street is in this block A. So that had nothing to do with our proposed gate that the MOU concerns. So I just wanted to make that clear for everybody that the final plat and the reference I believe that was being made, thank you, to a circle was in a note from Kelly LaRosa to us in her wrap-up of things, and I just think that was a clerical error. So I thank you for letting me move from my chair. I'll move back.
You can stay here a second. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Smith? Yes, Mr. Shamir.
Smith, I do have a question. The gate was discussed in the MOU. That was one of the discussions that was had. And from the MOU to here, there has been obviously an evolution or two. But the discussion, I mean, I clearly remember the discussion about a gate being put up until the traffic impact assessment is clearly done, and the impact is actually understood on the residents, specifically on the residents that live on the other side, on the south side of Hanford Boulevard. So that would be on Schiller Court,
yeah.
and yes, because those residents are not, if during peak travel, those residents are not able to make the island and turn. And this is where all this came about. So it was an agreement, and the agreement was there would be a gate put up. In fact, Pulte was volunteered to pay for that, or part of that, and that is the discussion, and that is the lack of clarity. So the reason I'm voting no is because that residents feel like that there's bait and switch. There needs to be a clear discussion. There needs to be what was agreed upon. It hasn't disappeared off black and white.
Right. When it comes to the plat, though, that's not on the plat. That was an MOU that was separate, that we approved, that the administration said would be put into place upon the connection of the streets. And the way I see it is that until the plat is actually approved, you don't have an official connection of the streets. Here, I know that everyone can laugh, but I mean, it's it's gonna be blocked, but the actual official date would be from the time that the actual connection can be made. Because right now, you can't drive on this street because it's not platted and the properties have not been deeded out.
If I may, this is very analogous to what we had at Liberty Rose. Liberty Rose had similar agreements in place. And yet, by the time that the road opened and the residents suffered, and we were last summer where kids were beginning to go onto the streets, we had to approach and literally go back and forth until we were able to put barricades on that road so that construction vehicles, which many went through, we had videos of them transecting that road, as well as the traffic that was cutting through. So I think that if there is an agreement, if there is an MOU, I would sit down with the concerned residents, tell them, hey, this is what we're gonna do in black and white, and once we get this done, this is what's gonna happen. This is the issue.
And I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, oh, I know.
This is just the plat.
I know.
This is in order to start sending, deeding people's properties. The MOU and the gate is a separate issue that's in the hands of the administration.
So, Mr. Smith, if I could, what you're showing us is from the Planning Commission.
Correct.
And what, Mr. Shamir, what you're talking about is what we on council
Exactly.
have agreed with. So I really have a question for the administration. Because
can
are you finished with this before I go
I'm
on?
done with this. I think I'm happy to leave it up here if anybody wants. But I just wanted to clarify, I really want to clarify that the talk of a gate is in this block A in this subdivision, and that there's no traffic circle on the final plan.
Right. So if I could continue, in the MOU, under number 2, it's stated, and I had it in front of me for the longest time. Here it is. Okay. Number 2, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Law Director, it states, the city shall install the gate at a location within the connecting roadway that is approximately located at or near the boundary line of the connecting roadway and the adjacent property, unless a traffic study has been completed and reviewed by City Council and a determination has been made not to install the gate. Then later, it goes down to number 3, and it says, at that point, the city shall be responsible for the installation of the gate within 30 days of the completion of the connecting roadway and all costs pertaining to the repair and replacement thereof. So my question is, do we have a conflict in our MOU? Because I feel like we're getting 2 different messages sent to us. And the residents are frustrated because
There's no conflict, it's just a question
believe
of
there
the
should be.
timing of when's the gate gonna be put in. There's no conflict per se in the
Okay.
written MOU.
So when is the gate going to be going in?
So I'll address, so we had a meeting with all our department heads that would be affected by this. We have to take into account the purpose of having that section blocked, which is, of course, is to not allow traffic from Portside to access Hanford. So the current divider is accomplishing that. We don't want to keep that there because we want to have the ability for our public safety vehicles to traverse that area in the event of a public emergency. So we've looked at cost. It'd be very expensive to put in a gate at this point, not knowing what the traffic study is going to say, not knowing what council is going to ultimately decide. Yes, Pulte agreed to $15,000. In my opinion, if we're going to put a gate there, I'd rather spend it on the permanent gate structure than some temporary gate structure. We've talked with Mr. Liskovic and Chris Howard. We're in the planning stages of signage. We can't just throw anything up. We have to have signage. So we're working on signage. We're also working on putting up a chain versus a gate. It serves the same purpose. It allows access for some and restricts access for others.
That's not the permanent, that would be a temporary.
That's not the permanent until we have the study and council makes a decision. It's not my intention to put up a permanent gate at this point. It's a cost-effective measure. If we had to put in a gate that was for public safety, it would be similar to those that are accessing our HOAs. Those would be very expensive. There's no electrical there. We'd have design work, we'd have electrical work. We'd have to get our system put in for public safety vehicles so that they can access it to do whatever they need to do. So it's a huge cost to put in the permanent gate at this point, not knowing what the ultimate result's going to be that council decides. So this is a very cost-effective means to accomplish the same purpose, which is to restrict access for some and allow our public safety to be able to access it.
Thank you. Any further discussion by any members of council? Mr. Zuber?
It was always my impression there was going to be a gate put up there when the streets were connected. I mean, if we can get the cost estimates, we'll set it at our committee meeting on the 7th of July for the Finance Committee. If we can get those different costs that you've outlined, Mayor, so that we can take care of this issue.
Any further discussion from the administration or council? Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Oh, yes.
I just
Mr.
want to say I
Shamir.
agree with
Thank
Mr.
you.
Zuber. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have ducks set up in order. Everybody ready? All right, Mrs. Rossmarin. Oh, wait a second. Oh, wait, there is no, I'm sorry.
No suspension rules.
I moved ahead, sorry. Okay. We have ordinance number 25-129. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
An ordinance amending Chapter 474 bicycles and motorcycles generally and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Cos.
Thank you. I move to suspend the council rule requiring 3 readings.
Mrs. Rossmarin, the roll?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
It is passed. Mr. Cos.
Thank you. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-129.
In discussion.
Yeah, in discussion, so this is a review of Chapter 474, bicycles and motorcycles generally. And with electric bicycles coming onto the scene in the last couple of years, it required a review of this section to make sure that our current laws are up to date and that they also are inclusive of electric bicycles. And upon review of the chapter, I noticed that there were many sections where bicycles were mentioned and electric bikes were not mentioned. Some of the sections in this chapter date back to 1962. So, electric bicycles were probably a far-off dream back then, and they never could have imagined it. But it definitely required a review, it required an update, and it needed to include electric bicycles in this in order to give the Avon Lake Police Department the tools they need to enforce safety in the community. If you look through the changes to the section that have been added and adopted by the Public Safety and Health Committee with a 3-0 vote last week, you'll see that they're pretty simple. It's anywhere you see the word bicycles, we've added the term electric bicycles. This was, I think, very important because if an issue were to take place with electric bicycles on a city street or sidewalk or wherever it may be, with an issue of it, the rider not behaving properly, the police department could be hampered or could face a challenge as to, well, the ordinance says bicycles. It doesn't say anything about electric bicycles. So there was a real need to bring it up to speed. There was a comment earlier tonight that this should have waited and gone to the CCM. We had a pretty good discussion on this at the Safety Committee. We recognized that. The committee recognized it, and the members of council and the administration were there, to include the mayor and the police chief, were unanimous that we should move ahead with this because of the time of the season that it is and some of the complaints we've heard in the community. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Mrs. Fenderbosh, Madam President, next week being the 5th Monday, the 30th, there's no meeting that day, correct?
That's correct. No council meeting, that's
Okay.
correct.
So the 7th of July, is that a CCM? Or
Yes,
is-
sir.
Okay. So the next time that we're going to sit here and vote is July the 14th.
That's correct.
Okay. So if we would have said, and we had this discussion, we should take this to the CCM regardless of public safety and the comments made by the police chief. Here we are on the 23rd of June. We would have had to wait 1, 2, all the way to the 14th, 3 weeks to vote this into law. And that's 3 weeks longer than any of us wanted to take a chance of an issue happening. So the committee did recognize that we were moving this from a public meeting with a public vote, following all the rules of public discussion on the item. And we moved it out and we moved it to this venue as a matter, and I think I specifically said it. We're doing it because it's a matter of public safety. So that's why we did that. That being said, there's a couple of things in here that I think the public should know with regards to e-bikes. One thing that I think bicycles and e-bikes together, I think there's a misconception in the community that you're not allowed to ride your bicycles on the sidewalk. That's incorrect. Section 4511.711 of the Ohio Revised Code, Section A, says, "No person shall drive any vehicle other than a bicycle or an electric bicycle if the motor is not engaged upon a sidewalk or sidewalk area except upon a permanent or duly authorized temporary driveway." So, sidewalks, bicycles can be ridden on sidewalks, and I think that we all know that there are times when, obviously with kids and inexperienced riders, we want them on the sidewalks. Well, electric bikes can be ridden on the sidewalks too, with the caveat, what I just mentioned, without the motor engaged, and I think that's the key point to it. And I wanted to stress that point so much because some of the complaints that we've heard are the e-bikes that are operating at basically full throttle, or whatever the term is for them, on our sidewalks. You can ride that e-bike on the sidewalk, but you got to be pedaling it. You got to be in the pedal mode. If you engage the motor, you got to be on the roadway. And a part of this change and updates to the ordinance was in 474.06, we added a specific section that said, "No person shall ride an electric bicycle on any sidewalk with the motor engaged." So it is prohibited under now our city law and also under the state law to ride with it engaged. So bicycles, e-bikes are allowed on. Additionally, we removed a section that prohibited the riding of bicycles or e-bikes on the sidewalks in any business district. And that section was written in 1962. Now, as we know, we recently had 2 business districts established by ordinance, and that's State Route 83 in Walker Road and the section of Lake Road near Moore Road and the old power plant and shopping center. Both of those were established by ordinance as business districts. So specifically talking about 83 and Walker, we know that's one of the most heavily traveled routes for kids on bikes. You see them all the time. They're going to McDonald's, they're going to Speedway, they're doing all that stuff in that area, traveling all through there. So wanted to make sure that we deleted that section that was in here about riding bicycles on sidewalks in business districts, because obviously we encourage our younger, more inexperienced drivers, if they're going to frequent those shops and areas, as so many kids do, that they're doing it safely on the sidewalks. So those were really kind of the two main takeaways on the changes to this ordinance. Everything else, like I said, is adding the word electric bike where bicycle was. We also had an additional discussion on bicycle licenses, and we discussed whether or not that is a policy that we should continue on with, or if we should double down and try to really push this. There's only been a handful of bike licenses handed out by the City of Avon Lake in the last few years, a handful every year, maybe less than 10 per year. At one point, it really was something that it was kind of a rite of passage for you to get your bike license, as was mentioned by one member of our committee, one older member of our committee that talked about, how great that was as a kid. I won't mention his name. But we've talked about it, is this something that we should continue on with? And I think the discussion amongst the committee members and the people in attendance there was that there's still some real benefit to getting a bike license. One, if your bike is stolen, you can find it because of the serial number and you have it registered and the whole thing. It's easier to get it back to you. And as you know, we've done so many of these things where the bikes disappear and we don't know who they belong to. And then we end up having to donate them because we don't know who they belong to. So that's one aspect to it. And the other interesting aspect of it is, if you come in for an electric bike license, same as a bike license, it's an opportunity when you get that license for the police department to give you the rules of the road and the do's and the don'ts. It's an extra opportunity for an officer to talk about public safety and the responsibilities of the person on that e-bike. So the mayor, the police chief, and the other members of the administration, digital media, are going to start to push this again. And whether that's we have to incentivize some people to come out and get their bike license, but we're going to try to do our best to get more people to get that bike license for the reasons that I mentioned. So I hope that I have support for passage of this here this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Gentry?
I just wanted to make sure that people are aware, when we're saying bike license, it is not the same as a driver's license that you need in order to take a test to learn the rules of the road. That is not this. It's more of a registration of your bike.
It's more like a dog license, right? Mr. Shamir?
I would like to thank Mr. Koss for his diligence and passion in moving this through. I mean, he has been working hard on this, and thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Yes, thank you. I would also indicate that it does not cost anything other than the time it takes to get up to the police station to get your bicycle license, and then you can put it on your bicycle. But I would encourage folks, parents in particular for those under 16, to really try and keep an eye on what's going on. I see these the bikes, the electric bikes, going around throughout the city. I think this is important, and it's an important safety that everybody, as a community, as a village that we are, takes care to try and keep everybody safe, and tell the motorists as well that are driving cars to be careful and on the watch for these. Thank you.
Right, specifically, drivers of cars, vehicles, we're told not to text and drive, but yet we see students on these electric bikes looking down at their phone as they're going right through the intersection. They don't even stop. And also, they need to be wearing helmets. We want everybody's heads the way that they are. We don't want any scrambled. Anyone else? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
This is passed. I want to thank you, Mr. Cos. A lot of hard work and taking it forward. I did talk to the law director, and he agreed that for public safety, this needed to go directly so we could get it on the books as soon as possible. Thank you. Okay, before us is now ordinance number 25-130. Mrs. Rossmarin, read by title only.
An ordinance imposing a moratorium on the use of residential property for short-term rental and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Cos?
This is the first reading of this ordinance. I had originally, as I mentioned before, meant to bring it forward as a suspension of the rules, sensing some objection and concern to parts of it. I decided to pull this back and have a first reading, which would allow for the ad hoc committee to meet and discuss this again and perhaps refine it and bring it back for a second reading on that 14th and hopefully get something in place while we're going into break, still needing multiple readings more than likely in multiple months to pass the other piece of legislation. Just a couple of things on this, just as a reminder, is that this moratorium would not be in effect of any existing short-term rentals. This would be on new short-term rentals, so it wouldn't be anything that would be on existing short-term rentals. But I look forward to more conversation. I think that every time we get together with the ad hoc committee, we learn a little bit more about the industry. We learn a little bit more about what works in communities and what some of the potential pitfalls are. So I'll be looking forward to the next meeting on that.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion by any council members? Okay, seeing none, we're going to go on to now our last one on the agenda tonight. And that's ordinance number 25-131. Mrs. Ross Marin, read by title only.
An ordinance awarding a contract for the 2025 Waterline Bundle Project to Underground Utilities Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. I move for suspension of the rule requiring 3 readings. Mrs. Ross Marin, the roll.
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. This is passed. I move for passage of ordinance number 25-131. This is a companion to what we did earlier. The Avon Lake Regional Water has prepared plans and specifications for the 2025 Water Line Bundle project. Bundle means that there's also our side of it involved with it, right? Avon Lake Regional Water has caused notice to be given as provided by law, inviting bids for construction of said improvements, with bids having been received, opened, and tabulated. It was determined that the bid submitted by Underground Utilities, Inc. of Monroeville is the lowest and best responsive bid. The total amount of the contract is in the sum of $17,147,780.59. 79.8% of it belongs to Avon Lake Regional Water. 20.2% of it belongs to the city. Additionally, a 10% contingency allowance shall be added to each entity's portion in the event any unforeseen circumstances arise that would cause the contractor to either incur additional materials or labor in completing the project. The award for this contract is contingent upon securing necessary financing. There's going to be a bond that the contractor has to come forward with at the amount of $17,147,780.59. This ordinance is declared to be an emergency measure, the emergency being the necessity of water line, storm sewers, sanitary sewers, road work, repair on behalf of the city to provide reliable stormwater and sanitary sewer systems according to the EPA regulations. Thus, is for the public health, safety, and welfare. And this ordinance will be in full effect immediately after its passage and approval by the mayor if passed this evening. Any further discussion by anyone up here? Yes, Mr. Shamir.
So roughly, the city's share would be about $4 million.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And what it should also be stated is that there won't be any need for paying back that amount of money for over 2.5 years. The project is completed, then the debt is due. And it has been reviewed by the finance director. It has been declared by her to be not only substantial, but also something that we can undertake. Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, at this point, we're going to have a roll then. Mrs. Ross Marin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you, this is passed. All right, that was a long meeting, wasn't it? Now it's time for public input on any topic. You can come forward, Just give us your name and the city that you're from. Thank you. Who wants to be first? Good evening.
Hello, Vince Canonico, Avon Lake. The council president earlier posed a question whether there was a conflict within the MOU regarding the gate. And I believe Mr. Ebert suggested there was not. I understand what Madam President is referring to. However, I tend to agree with Mr. Ebert. I think you were concerned with paragraphs 2 and 3.
Correct.
Which read, "The city shall install a gate at a location within the connecting roadway that is approximately located at or near the boundary line of the connecting roadway and the adjacent property unless the traffic study has been completed," and it goes on from there. All right. So we know that a traffic study has not been completed. It's not done, right? So that takes us to paragraph 3. "The city shall be responsible for the installation of a gate within 30 days of the completion of the connecting roadway and all costs pertaining to the repair and replacement thereof." So since the traffic study has not been done, then we go to paragraph 3, and it tells the city what it should do based on its own agreement. And that is install the gate within 30 days of the connection. Okay? For the first time tonight, I heard that it hasn't been connected. I've seen some e-bikes go right through there. They had no idea that it was impossible for them to do that. This has never been connected. It's connected. It's been connected for about 60 days now. Okay. Mr. Smith mentioned this, and I shouldn't have chuckled. I apologize. But you got to forgive me, because I've heard a lot of them over the months. You know, I've heard the last man standing argument, the connectivity plan argument, the one way in, one way out argument. I've heard excuse after excuse after excuse. And my neighbors and I are frustrated. You know, I mean, there are different ways to look at this issue. I'm not, I could see that, right? I mean, there's some people on council that may just honestly disagree with the way I see this or the way my neighbors see this. And that's okay, right? But you know, if that's the case, then have the courage of your convictions and just say it. Just tell us, look, we're not going to do this. We understand your concerns, but we're not going to do it, and here's why, okay? Don't waste my time. I've been coming back here for months, all right? And I'm starting to feel like you've just been wasting my time. That's why I couldn't restrain myself when Mr. Smith came up with it's not really connected. It just seems like yet another excuse, okay? Just set aside politics, stop being politicians, and start being public servants. And if you disagree with me and my neighbors, just say it. Have the courage of your convictions. Don't come up with excuse after excuse after excuse. It's just exhausting, right? Again, you don't have to agree with me, all right? And maybe there are plenty of people in Avon Lake that don't agree with this. One gentleman got up last week and said, well, it's a convenience issue. I think it should be connected. And he's entitled to his opinion, and I respectfully disagree with him, okay? But as a resident, I think all residents are entitled to a council that takes their concerns seriously and that addresses them honestly without sidestepping every single chance they get rather than squarely addressing the issue. So please consider doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Come on up. I see you back there. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Carol Prebairn. I live in Curran Village in Avon Lake, and I want to say thank you to Mr. Shamir and to Mr. Cos, because the way you present, the way you explain so that anybody can understand, the way you brought all of that data to back you up, and from anybody else we really don't hear anything. Is it that we're not allowed to ask you questions, or you're not allowed to say here's why I'm voting no. Is there a rule about that? Yes, no?
This forum isn't for back and forth discussion.
I
It's
know.
what's called, so that you understand, it's called a partial forum. And perhaps you could help me with the language that I'm trying to come up
Well,
with.
it's given the opportunity to present any issue that council can take into consideration and respond to you after the meeting or tomorrow or whatever, to make sure you don't waste your time, your time, with your time is speaking to this. But your question will be answered on either directly or by email or a phone call, or after the meeting if you're here, as far as that's concerned. Because a lot of times there's people who are voting up here, they may agree with the resolution, some people won't, so you have a comment why I'm not voting for it, and they express that view.
And I'm not trying to tell you how to vote or for you to explain, rationalize your vote to me. But yes, it is representative, I do get that. But at some point, do we have open meetings?
They're committee
with the
meetings.
council?
Yeah, they're committee meetings.
Okay.
There's also ward meetings. Some of the individuals
Okay,
have
so
board meetings.
It's kind of overwhelming to somebody that's not involved in it. And how would I know what meeting, what committee, and I believe that the planning meetings that I've been to were run pretty much like this. We weren't allowed to, I don't remember ever being at a planning meeting where there was back and forth between the public and the people that were on the planning committee.
Planning Commission is a quasi-judicial meeting, so it is run differently. We're talking about committee meetings, so like public service, safety, there's a lot of back and forth in those committee meetings.
Okay, but they're not, are they people that are elected officials?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you, and thank you. I really appreciate it.
Anybody else? Come on up.
Hi,
Excuse me.
Debbie Yu, City of Avon Lake. I want to build on the comments made by Mr. Canonico, my husband, regarding the paragraph number 3 of the MOU. It specifically uses the word connecting, and in Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines connecting, connect to be, to quote, to be joined. And so as I had demonstrated in my exhibit that I introduced at City Council meeting on May 27th of 2025, I showed a photograph taken on April 15th of 2025 showing that the road was in fact connected. Now I'm hearing a definition regarding connecting being somehow contingent upon the approval of the final plat. That's an unsupported definition, and I don't agree with that. Nevertheless, if council believes that there is some ambiguity, then the ambiguity is in the MOU, which was drafted by the staff and officials for the City of Avon Lake. And a basic tenet of contract law interpretation is that any ambiguities that are contained in a contract is interpreted against the drafter. And so therefore, if council now believes that there is an ambiguity in that word, that ambiguity needs to be interpreted against the city, those who drafted it, the City of Avon Lake officials and staff, and it should be used, the common word is to be joined. There's no dispute that on April 15th of 2025, that the roads were in fact connected or joined. And as I showed in my photograph, and therefore well over 60 days have passed and the gate has not yet been provided. And so therefore I urge this council and the elected officials of Avon Lake to please respect what the residents, your constituents, voters, taxpayers of Avon Lake are expressing. This is just simply another example where we are not feeling heard. We are feeling that every time that we come up here, it is not being heard. Not by everyone. There are those on council who are listening and who are understanding what the frustration that we're going through, as well as the problems that connecting these roads without the gate will pose to the residents on one side of Hanford. I believe that might be the western side of Hanford. However, for those who are on council who are not listening to us, we urge you, as Mr. Kaneko indicated, to, instead of being politicians, to please be public servants, listen to our concerns, and please do what you promised to do in the MOU, put up the gate and not a chain, and please listen to our concerns. We want this to be an open process, and we've done our best, and we've attended meeting after meeting, month after month. You've heard from all of us, and so we please ask you to please respect what our concerns are, respect our time, and respect us as your constituents, your neighbors, and voters and taxpayers of the City of Avon Lake. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to come forward on any topic? Okay, sir, come on up.
Scott Kennedy, Avon Lake. Talked last week. I guess I can understand the frustration of the Hanford residents because I believe it was about 9 years ago, and from looking at records, I only believe Mr. Koss, Ms. Fenderbosch were a part of the discussions. I'm not sure if you were, because I think it was done in 2017, and I'm referencing the Woodbridge Way connecting point. And there was a lot more people in this room, and I bring it up just really for kind of public record, I guess, because there's 50 to 60 homeowners that were affected on Parkside and Woodbridge Way and Coronado Circle that were concerned about the same things that I believe the Hanford residents are concerned about. Traffic, cut-through speed, accessibility, whatever. And there was comments made about trying to put up a gate, and they were shot down continuously. And I'm kind of curious on how gates were even talked about, because if we're going to put a gate up at Hanford Boulevard, why wasn't it done on Parkside? Because the argument is the same. That's what I don't understand, and how we got through all this point, dragging them through the meetings, spending $200,000 on a traffic study, which to me is ludicrous that kind of money was spent of our taxpayer money, and maybe we're just kicking the can down the road because somebody doesn't want to make the tough decisions and finally say to them, hey, it's not going to happen, because that's what happened on Parkside. They had all the same concerns. So I bring it up just because of a point of matter from what has happened in the past and seeing kind of the same play end up. And the ending is probably going to be the same, unfortunately, for the Hanford residents. Regardless of my support, because I don't make the decision, but at the end of the day, I would ask, why wasn't it done 9 years ago? And to the two members of council that were there, I know you can't answer me directly now, but maybe it's a conversation later on what makes this different. So that's all I got.
Anybody else want to come up on any topic?
I'd be happy to tell them what's different. This is a unique neighborhood. There's nothing like it around town. We have many beautiful neighborhoods in Avon Lake.
Can you give us your name, please, real quick?
Pawlowski,
Thank you.
Hanford Boulevard. It's unique, and I've said in the past to this group, you're going to get numbers from the traffic study, but you also have to understand the impact. And traffic is one of those impacts. Another one is what you're doing to that neighborhood. Very unique neighborhood. It's been in national publications as a one-of-a-kind. Back when most of it was built. I mean, these articles, I have all the articles, if you certainly want to see them. But I think impact is something that makes this different from some of the other discussions about gates. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on any topic? Come on up.
William Zimmerman. Live in beautiful Avon Lake. The home of corruption. Because it's endless here. This administration's had it going on since the day they were in power. I'd like to play a video for the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens.
No, sir.
I'll see you tomorrow, John. You guys talk about safety, public safety. Where were you a year and a half on these electric scooters and bikes and all that other stuff? Why are we so far behind? Talk about we need to make sure everybody's going to be safe. So we're moving it past the committee meeting so that we can go straight to voting. Where were you when my kid was riding his electric skateboard down the street, hit a pothole, snapped the axle, got jettisoned off his board, tore his PCL, had a concussion, abrasions? Where were you then? Nobody cared about safety then. We have 2 years to sue you. We're gonna. We'll see about your safety then. It's ludicrous. Mr. Smith, is the clock that important? You gonna lose your bet? So you talk about a moratorium, so you don't have to worry about things being done while you're working on the legislation. Where was this when Miss Gentry was trying to do stuff with her implosion? Why didn't you have the same concept then? So that you didn't have to worry about it. So you didn't have to screw around and waste another 6 months while she's trying to still get the legislation straight. I still haven't gotten the meetings from y'all. How many times did you get together about it, discuss it? I made a public records request 2 weeks ago. I find that ironic. I'm not getting my information. Mrs. Gentry is looking on her computer to see if she can find it. I hope she does. I haven't seen it on mine. These kinds of ongoing issues shows the corruption that I talk about at so many different levels. Because the definition of corruption is dishonesty by those people who are in power. And that's only you. None of the rest of us. But you bend the rules, you do the things you want, you have your own personal agendas. And it doesn't matter, just like these people on Hanford. He's right. We come here, and if you're going to waste our time, just tell us. Because then we can choose not to come. It becomes our opportunity to decide if we want to be here or not. Because you don't listen, don't return calls, you don't do things that you should do as an administrative person who works for the public. I find it difficult to come here anymore. Because you're going to try to change the rules on the way the meeting goes. I believe you're violating my constitutional rights when you do so. And I'm sure we'll end up in court on that as well. Because you don't abide by your oath of office. You don't honor the Constitution of the United States. You don't honor the Constitution of Ohio. And you sure don't always honor the ordinances of the City of Avon Lake. It's a sad situation here, as I've said many times.
Would anybody else like to come forward on any topic?
Madam Chair.
We have.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, just a moment, please.
I wanted to comment on his
Yeah.
statement.
Go right ahead.
Julie sent June 11th.
Okay, I'll look for it. Thank you.
June 11th, she sent, just a moment.
I agree, because I immediately sent you the documentation, the hours used, and I also sent it to Mr. Zimmerman too. So I contacted Julie within 2 days, so it was done. So that's not
Thank you
true,
very
that
much.
wasn't said.
Thank you very much.
I don't think it's accurate, but thank you.
Is there any miscellaneous business announcements by anyone up here? Yes, Mr. Shamir?
Yes, there's a Ward 1 meeting tomorrow at 5:30 at the library. So the Ward 1 meeting will be tomorrow at 5:30 at the library.
Which room, sir? Downstairs?
Not sure yet.
Okay.
I'll find out tomorrow. It'll be posted on the entrance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else with any business, miscellaneous business? Okay, with that, we need a motion then to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. Mrs. Rossmarin?
Mr. Zuber?
Yes.
Mr. Arnold?
Yes.
Mrs. Fenderbosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gentry?
Yes.
Mr. Koss,
Yes.
Mr. Shamir?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll see you next week then. CCM. No, in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks on the 7th. Thank you.